glad you can join me today. Today is about some muscles called psoas muscles, because I've been requested to help somebody who's got a very tight psoas muscle. So I thought I'd look at quite a few poses. It's almost like an exploration. The poses you do today, there'll be poses that you need to choose one and do it and explore. There's quite a few challenges, so be careful when you do them. And I'm going to explain what the psoas muscles are as we go along, so as we don't waste too much time. You're going to need quite a few props today. You're going to need a belt or a piece of rope, a blanket, some pillows, some books or blocks. So quite a lot of support you're going to need today. I'll say just take it easy, and I'll explain as we go along. So first of all, if we start just by sort of just sitting quietly cross-legged, and while you sit cross-legged and center yourself, I'll explain about these psoas muscles. Well, the psoas is a huge muscle, or muscles, they're more than one psoas, which start from link your legs to your back, and the insertion point is at the inside of the tops of your legs. It sort of swings round in that great big bowl of your hips, and then up your back, really deep inside your back, and the insertion is around about the area of your diaphragm. And these are the muscles that are responsible for turning your legs, so we need to concentrate on the leg work and the hip work, particularly front body. We spend a lot of time sitting, and this person has told me that their psoas muscle is particularly tight on one side because she spends a lot of time sitting. So we're going to be looking at opening the front body and working a lot on the groins and the tops of the legs and stretching the legs. So now you've sat there for a short time, we're going to move from poses you know, so cat-cow. What I'd like you to think of today is, when we're doing the poses, I'd like you to keep your inner body like a marshmallow. I want it to be lovely and soft and squidgy and movable. No gripping or tightening when you do these poses. You want to try and keep as soft inside as you can. So let's go rolling over your knees and then bring yourself to cat-cow. So spread your fingers, usual instructions, knees underneath your hips. So in this one, I'd like you to keep really, very, very soft inside as you do it. So straighten the arms, keep those straight, and then exhale slowly round the spine. So you're not drawing, you're not pulling on your abdomen, you're not making any effort whatsoever. Just let the action speak for itself. Inhale to look forward, exhale rounding. Inhale, looking forward. So nice, soft, gentle movements. Rounding, looking towards your navel. Inhale as you look forward. Tailbone lifts. Keep going. And then come to rest. So your inside's nice and soft. Bring your knees together. And then you're going to raise your right knee up, keep the leg bent, just raise it up, keeping the insides nice and soft as you gently bring the knee to the elbow. So you're not rounding your back, you're just moving that leg. Knee to elbow, knee to elbow. So we're moving that hip joint. And then do the other side. So bring the knees back down together again. So raising the left knee off the floor, lifting it up, and bringing it to the elbow, lifting up to the elbow, lifting up to the elbow. One more, lifting up to the elbow. Come to neutral, turn your toes under. So you're not going to spend any time whatsoever in dog pose today. You're just going to push up to come up to Uttanasana. So turn the toes under, lift your hips, walk your hands back, keep your knees bent, So nice and soft all the time, no gripping, tuck your chin to your chest, roll yourself up. So what I want you to do is to take some blocks. I put my mat near a wall, so if you want to stop the video and get your mat near a wall, that will be helpful. You need a few bricks, blocks, whatever you've got, so you can place them near the wall. So what I want you to do is I want to show you how to access that psoas muscle inside. Very difficult muscles to get to. Lots of the instructions I give you most of the time are addressing that muscle, but I've never actually told you what it's for or what you're doing. So we'll look at it specifically today. So what you're going to do is have your books near the wall, and you're going to stand up on the books on one leg. So you're there near the wall for stability. So you're going to come off the books with the other leg, and you just let it swing. You're not making huge movements. All I'd like you to do is to allow that foot to move backwards and forwards. What I'd like you to feel is the standing leg is nice and upright, so you're not pushing that hip towards the wall. So you've got your hand there against the wall, so it helps you to keep that standing leg nice and upright. Feel soft inside. So this action, you could do it for quite some time, but we're not going to stay there too long because we just don't have the time on the video. And as I say, these are poses that you can explore yourself. So I'm going to ask you to come down off there and feel how different that leg feels to the other one. How it feels different in the hip joint. My leg feels, even doing that short amount of time, that leg feels much longer. So you can play with those and obviously do both legs, but we haven't got the time to do both. So it's an exploration job for you, these poses. So these are poses for you to play with on your mat and see how you get on with them. So you can choose which ones you play with. Let's move the books out of the way. So, Tadasana. So bringing your feet together. Stretch your arms down. So I don't want any pushing or lifting, pushing out your rib cage. What happens when we do, or we're working with psoas muscles very often, and if we have to work the hamstrings, but if people have got very tight hamstrings, if they straighten their legs, they overarch their back. And that is one good indicator of people having problems with their psoas muscles. Or conversely, sometimes people's psoas muscles are so weak that they've got no lumbar curve whatsoever. So we're thinking about the bowl of the hips today. So when we're standing in this pose, and I say to you, take your hips forward. So those crests, those points of your hip, the iliac crest, those hip bones have to come forward and be upright. So put your fingers on there, on the tips of those bones. Press down into your feet, straighten your legs, lift your kneecaps. But now I'd like you to push your hips slightly forward, so you're tipping those bones up. And you should feel that nice stretch across these front groins when you do that. And then your back is in its correct position, and then stretch your hands down. Tadasana. So you can feel the lift of the thighs. So from there, what happens when we start to do Vrikshasana, tree pose? So taking the weight into your, I'll try and mirror image, into your right leg. So take the weight down into the right foot. So without disturbing this area of your pelvis, just bring your knee up. So we'll just leave it there today. So just concentrate on bringing the knee up without arching your back. And lowering the foot down. So it's learning how to use this pelvic area. So again, you stand in Tadasana, re-establish with those bones, and then take the weight into the left foot. and then you can bring the knee up. Working, concentrating on keeping that abdomen and the iliac crest straight forward, but also think about softening inside the abdomen. Think, as I said, marshmallows. I'd like marshmallows inside today. So no gripping. And lowering the leg down. Right, I'm going to do Virabhadrasana 1. It's all about opening these front groins and how they work. So, if you've got yourself near the wall, which I hope you have, we're going to do Virabhadrasana 1, but not necessarily the whole pose. And I want to have the heel up the wall, so that we can square the hips off. So if you take your right heel up the wall and step forward with your left foot, so you're doing exactly the same as me. So then what happens? The psoas want to tip the pelvis forward. So again, it's those hip joint points that you need to put your fingers on, and then bring your tailbone down. And then you can then really feel that stretch of that back leg on the groin. And then see if you can start to, we're not going to go very far in this because I really want to feel the stretch in that back leg and keeping those hips square. And then you're going to keep your chest lifted, keep soft inside, and just start to bend that front leg. Feel the work of that back leg. And straighten the front leg, and then bend it again. Straighten and bend. Are you keeping soft inside, and are you keeping the lower part of your back down? So you could take your thumbs into those sacroiliac joints if you wanted to give you some direction. Keep bending and straightening that front leg, and then hold it there. See if you can wiggle the foot forward a little bit more so you can get a deeper knee bend. And then straightening the leg, and then step your feet together. So we go on the other side. So you're going to take your left heel to the wall and step forward with the right foot. So start to feel the hip joints, start to tip the pelvis down and forward, and feel the stretch on the groin at the top of the left leg. So get that movement with the hips. As I say, you can press into the sacroiliac joints with your thumbs if you wish to. So pushing forward at that point, and then bend the front leg. So feel the intensified stretch on the back, and then straighten it, bend it, and straighten it, bend it, straighten it, nibble forward if you can or want to with your foot. See if you can intensify the stretch a bit more, and hold it. But most of all, keep soft inside, no gripping. You've got to let go in these poses. And then straightening the leg and step your feet together. Right, where did I want to move on to from there? Right, we're going to come to the floor now and looking at boat pose, Navasana. Now Navasana is the one pose that utilises the whole of your psoas muscles inside. It's those muscles that hold you up in Navasana. So sitting down on the floor. First of all, I sit down in Dandasana, and then take your hands by the side of your hips, press your legs into the floor, and lift up. Lift your chest, but don't tighten inside, don't pull anything back. I want everything to stay soft inside on the front body. So let's look at Navasana. Bend your knees, put your feet flat on the floor. So when we tip back, that's when all those muscles have to come into play. They're really deep back muscles that help us to support our spine, our body, our internal organs. Right, so hands just behind your knees, and then start to lean back, but keep soft inside. See if you can come up on your toes. So you have to nose a little bit further back. It's keeping that nice V shape. And then can you take your toes off the floor, legs off the floor? So it's those muscles that are holding you there now. So no gripping of the abdomen, no tightening. Just keep everything soft today, and then you can take your hands away if you want to. Keep breathing, and then you can straighten your legs up into the air if you want to. And toes back to the floor, and sitting upright again. That pose involves all those muscles, so a really good pose for you to practice. The straightening of the legs, well, it's not important. You're looking to get that support of your back. What was my next one for you? You're going to do bridge pose now, and we're going to do bridge. Now what happens also if you've got problems with the psoas muscles is that the feet, when we do back bends or anything like that, they want to turn out. So if you've got a book or a block, place it between your feet so that you're gripping the block or your book with your feet so that you know that you're not turning out your toes. So when I say do forward bends, I ask you to rotate the thighs inwards so that we broaden across the lower back. Same principle applies when we're doing bridge pose. So if you've got your book placed, roll yourself down onto the floor so your feet are near your buttocks. Shuffle those shoulder blades down onto the floor. So we're going to scoop up. Same thing I always tell you, push your lower back into the floor, lift your tailbone up. Because if you do it the other way, you're overarching your back and you're shortening those muscles that we want to make nice and long. So press your back into the floor, lift your hips, come up. So I can go a little bit nearer to my toes, I think. Yeah. So you can shuffle up and then lift as much as you can. So it's important that we work our muscles around the legs and around the hips. And in order to do the outer edge of your legs, I want you to keep yourself soft inside, and then you're going to bring your knees together and open. In, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. So that's going to make your bottom nice shape, hopefully. Mine's given up now. Just keep moving those legs, so you're working the legs while we're in bridge pose. And come to rest. So you can push yourself up a little bit higher, but without keeping the insides nice and soft. And then come down one vertebrae at a time. And then bend your knees under your chest, wrap your arms around your knees, and then take your head back to the floor again. So really stretching out your back, softening inside. And then rolling to sit up, take the book out of the way. So these are starting to get a little bit more challenging for you. The next one, you're going to go roll over your knees, come to all fours. And then you're going to kneel up and place your right foot forward, making that nice right angle. Now, some of you have got very sensitive knees, and if you have, get yourself a blanket and you're going to place it underneath the back knee. So when we're working that back leg. So this is a low lunge, and you're going to stretch this left leg back to where it's comfortable. So you're now feeling that nice stretch on that front groin. If it's not very comfortable, or you're sort of here or wherever, you could have blocks, bricks underneath your hands here, whichever's comfortable for you. Explore. Stretch away with that leg. start to feel that stretch. So we've kept the pelvis coming forward, and it's still in effect in its upright position because it's keeping upright with the body. So when we start to move into this position, what happens when we bring our hands up onto that thigh? It starts to want to work into the lumbar curve. So you have to keep lifting your chest. Lift your chest. Interlace your hands behind your back. Stretch your arms away from you. And if you're reasonably steady and comfortable, bring the arms forward and raise the arms up into the air. Keeping soft inside. And then lowering the arms down to the floor. And then recover the right leg. Move your blanket across if you want to for the other side. And then kneeling up, and then take the left leg forward. Fingertips to floor on blocks. Sliding that right knee back. Feeling that stretch across the front groin. Feel the pose while you're there, and then if you can or want to, you can bring your hands up to your knee. So no arching in the back, soft inside. Then interlace your hands behind your back, stretch them away, lift your chest. Then bringing the arms forward and raising them up into the air. And then lowering the arms back to the floor. Where's my next nasty one for you? Ah, right. So, swapping your legs, so back to kneeling up and taking your right leg forward. And then stretch the left leg back. So we're back into that low lunge again. And this time you're going to take your hands to the inside of the leg. Now I'd like you to walk that right leg out to the side slightly. And this time you're going to actually turn the foot. Just to give yourself a bit more space. So from there, see if you can take your hands flat to the floor, if that's possible. And then start to bend the elbows if you want to try. See if you can bring your forearms down to the floor. You should now be feeling that massive stretch, not only in that back groin, but in the groin, inside groin of the leg that's bent. And straightening the arms. Bring the foot back to the centre line again. Cover that foot, so bring it back, bring the leg back and step the right foot forward, or the left foot forward rather. And then slide the right knee back. Bring your hands to the inside of the left foot. Take the foot out slightly to the side and turn the foot. And then you decide where you want to get to with this one. So then it's to start to bring your arms down to the floor. And relax your head. Are you breathing? No gripping inside. And then straightening the arms and then coming back. Oh. Bring your knees together. Sit yourself back on your heels and stretch forward into child's pose. And rest your head. And inhale, look forward and come up. So I'd like you to get your mat back near the wall again and take your blanket to the wall. We're going to do Ustrasana, and I want you to understand where the other part of that psoas muscle attaches to your back, near the area of your diaphragm, which is here, if you're not sure. And you're going to take yourself right up to the wall, knees hip distance apart. I've got a pipe in the way. Right, knees hip distance apart. And then you're going to take your pubic bone to the wall. So that's then, as you can feel, those hip joints are absolutely square to the wall. Take your fingers into those sacroiliac joints. Now, in order to do any back bend, we have to lift the chest. So what I want you to do is concentrate on keeping those hips firmly fixed to the wall, and then you're going to inhale, lift your rib cage up. So I want you to stretch out your front body, and you can keep your head looking forward, or you can start to track your head or eyes up towards the ceiling. And then go on lifting again. On the inhale, so as you're rolling over your kidneys. And then you should feel, not a discomfort, but I can feel it right in the place in line with my diaphragm, where I can feel where that muscle inserts there. So you go on lifting and rolling over your shoulders, rolling over your kidneys rather. And inhale brings you back up again. So we're not doing a full pose, I just want you to feel where those muscles work from and to. So, what's my next one for you? You're going to take your books now, and you're going to support your lower back, so sitting down, have the books by the side of your hips. So I'm going to take three books. So lying down, have the books by your hips. And again, if you want to go with three books at the same time, same as I am, that's fine. If you have any issues with your back, do them one book at a time. So feet flat on the floor, feet pointing forward. Do you remember that business about not pointing the feet out? So feet pointing forward, and then press your lower back into the floor, lift your hips, up you come, tuck those books underneath your lower back. So you've now supported that lower part of your back. You're asking it to stay forward so you can feel your bones, and then you're going to stretch your right leg away from you and your left leg away from you. So stretch your heels away from you. Feel the nice stretch across the front groins, the flatness of your abdomen without you having to do any work for it, and then gently raise your arms over your head. And just take a few breaths. And bring your arms back over again. And you take the books back up to the waist, so bend your knees, put your feet flat on the floor, lift your hips. Books come out the way, roll your spine down one vertebrae at a time, all the way to the floor. Oh. And then it moves into its normal, natural shape after that. Right, now here comes your challenges. So once I start doing back bends, you need to continue. We don't want this forward and back with your back. So, if you want to have a go, I have to use books or a block in order to lift myself slightly off the floor because my arms are not as strong as they used to be. So if you want to have a go at this, you're going to place some blocks against the wall, or books. So you're going to do wheel pose, Urdhva Dhanurasana, which is that nice, wonderful arch shape. So it's the ultimate opening out of the front body. And I'm going to show you 2 different ways to do this. So you can say, this is the play time. You're going to play on your mat at some point, these different poses. So the other thing is, I also said to you about the feet and the legs. We don't want the feet to turn out in this pose because then it would affect your lower back. So you want a block or book between your feet. So lying down on the floor, you're going to position your head in between the blocks, so you're near the wall. And then your hands are going to go backwards like that, so your palms rest on and your fingers are over the front edge of the block. So your next move is to do the bridge pose, which you've just done, and then once you've lifted your hips, see if you can come onto the crown of your head. So ready to go? So press down, lift up, see if you can come onto the crown of your head, and then see if you can straighten your arms and breathe. And then lowering back down again slowly. So bring the crown of the head down first, and then bring your back down all the way to the floor. Oh, that's so good, wasn't it? Right, so if you've managed that, well done. And then I'm going to roll to the side, so I'm protecting my back still. Now, for many of you, from the floor, you're going to say, that ain't happening. Or, like me, the arms or hands, wrists aren't strong enough. So let me see if I can help you with that one. I'm just going to move the camera. Let's move the camera. And then hopefully you can see me on the stairs. Good. Right, so we've all got stairs in the house, hopefully, maybe, or steps. So here's another way you can look at doing a back bend, and that's to use the stairs. So I'm sitting on the bottom one, and if you lay back, just lay yourself back, get comfy, and you can rest your head on one, and then you take your hands over, same action with the hands. So see if you can find the next stair above your head. I've got my thumbs in front of it, which helps. And then you do the same action. Press down with your feet. So if you haven't got one, I mean, I'm not going to turn my feet out, but if you need to, put a block between your feet so you've got some direction. And then it's to lift the hips onto your head. Let's see if you can straighten your arms. And then coming back down again. Hey. So I'm hoping that's helpful. So for those of you that never or think they can't try to do Urdhva Dhanurasana, have a go on the stairs, get all the benefits. All right, let's swivel this back again. Let's plug in again, that's it. Right, so what's my next one for you? Oh, we're nearly done, nearly done. Right, so blocks out the way, books out the way. So your next one is to be kneeling up, and you're going to come into all fours. You're going to place your left knee against your left wrist and bring your left foot in front of your right knee. And then you're going to slide that right leg back, slide it back, slide it back. Now, normally we are going to go forward in a minute because I know you like it. Now, if this hip doesn't want to go to the floor, you can always put your block or your brick underneath. So for the first move of this, I'd like you to be sitting or trying to get yourself to sit more upright. So lift your chest, open the front body, soften your buttocks. Soft inside, no gripping inside. And just breathe. And then you can sort of walk the hands forward. I don't need the block. And then stretch your arms out in front of you and rest your head down to the floor. And on the inhale, lift your head, straighten your arms, walk your hands back, and then recover your legs so you're back into kneeling once more. So let's go again on the other side. So it's going to be right knee to right wrist. Get the right foot in front of the left knee, and then slide that left leg back. So if you've got chunky calf muscles, you might want to roll those calf muscles inwards to give yourself a bit more space to help yourself to go down. So once you're there, walk your hands back beyond fingertips. See if you can lift your chest, relax your buttocks, relax your abdomen, soft inside. And then coming forward, so walk your hands forward, rest your forehead. Then inhale, look forward, straighten your arms, then walk them back. And then just swivel that left leg round so you're sitting cross-legged for a minute. So we're on to the last pose. A great challenge for very many people. A wonderful pose once you start to get into it. Lots and lots of props you can have for this. As I say, I want you to play with these poses. Choose one and play with it. Find out which one's beneficial to you, which one's best for your hip joints or your back or wherever's giving you problems. So I'll show you what you're going to do, and I'll show you where I can't do it and what props I use, and then we'll work to see what props you might need to use. So what you're going to do is, it's Supta Virasana, and you start by, you're going to sit back and you're going to sit between your feet. Now if you take your knees hip slightly apart, it makes it a little bit easier. The wider apart you take your knees, the easier back bends are. And so if you take hold of the calf muscles and roll them out to help you to sit down between your feet. Now, next point is the knees. You might want to ease the skin over the knees. You get hold of underneath the knees and pull them over the top, get the flesh over the top. So my next move is from there. We need that pelvis to tilt towards your knees. So I've got my hands on my feet. I'm going to start to lift my buttocks up and tip them towards my knees. So hopefully you could see that action. And then you go back on one elbow and you go back on the other elbow. So any point you can stop and say, that's enough for me. It might be that you can, at the moment you're just sitting upright. So then I need to readjust the pelvis again by lifting up, taking it forward again, and then hopefully I can get my whole body down onto the floor. And then you can take your arms over your head. But